So let's see, we talked about corner one, we talked about corner two. Corner three is you have a relationship with something that's giving you an instant shot of something that's making you feel good for the time being, but it doesn't get to the root of the challenge that you're having in any particular area of your life. For example, like
Retail therapy.
retail therapy, going to get a, a, a new car. They call it, what do they call it? What do they call when you gotta get older and you go get a new car? Like, you
Midlife
know,
crisis.
huh?
Midlife crisis.
Yeah, they call it a midlife crisis, right? But
Build $1 million legacy with purpose.
When we talk about the purpose of building, all of this building starts with how do we build within ourselves? How do we build within our core? So that when we face anything that we face, the confidence that comes from our inner core, our inner knowing that you're connected, you're never alone, you're awesome, okay? The divine that we're connected to, the God source that we're connected to, you're the coldest thing since, well, in my case, it would be potato chips, but some people say sliced bread. I don't really do a lot of bread, but I love potato chips. You're the greatest thing since potato chips. I mean, seriously. Okay.
I think it's an amazing feeling. And I'm not sure if everyone knows how to do this part, because I don't think it's really taught. I think it's an amazing feeling when one really can connect to themselves.
hmm I
Um,
think, I think, Marnita, what I would say to that, it's not taught because it's innately in us. What happens is it's untaught.
oh yeah, that part.
Okay, because I really want to speak to that part. I really feel that a lot of things we feel as though we should be taught this, and certain things that I experience now, and it's been really cool because I've spent the last 10 years like really taking a deep dive looking at myself. And also because of the fact I look at my mom, who's a very, very strong woman, um, but she's not a very emotional person, if that makes sense. And I'm emotional, animated, all of that. And she used to always look at me like, what in the world? Okay.
Right, right.
Who are you and where did you come from? So I always like giggle and say she was just my host. I had to come through her, but and we laugh about that. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But I have studied me in a way of trying to really get to the core of how did you know certain things? Where does your gifting from? Because you and Miss Branch, y'all different, right?
Yeah.
And so what I realized is, if I'm honest, 100% honest, Marnita, there's just certain things that has been there, and I think I never strayed away from them, even when I was called odd or different or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's just me, but I like being me, right? I like being me. And when I was younger, and that oddness, and back in the day, because we was bullied as kids too. But see, I would fight
I,
that I would not allow somebody's opinion of me, even younger, to become my reality. So I think that when you say we have to be taught, I think what happens is what has been untaught, we have to reconnect to, because we innately know there's things that we know. It's that whole deja vu. There's a deja vu also in the essence of who we are as self.
I agree. I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
when you get around certain people and you just jail, you feel like you know them all your life, and you like
Because you
there's
have.
right, because there's a core connect. When you talk about I loved it when you talked about connection and being around people. There was this really cool um um thing on social media. It was very well done. And they had this gentleman, I think he was probably a pastor, and he said, sometimes when we have our circle, right? And he was standing in the middle of the circle. And he said, when you have that circle, and that circle they're around you, like you were saying, keeping the connection, keeping your circle around you. And then but when you move, your circle moves, right? So when
Yeah.
you move, your circle moves. But they'll get points and times when it's time for you to elevate, when you're at a new space in life, when you're some things have evolved, okay? And if that circle is now, instead of them, moving with you, now they're holding you because they can't move with you. So now that circle that was your circle that caressed you and helped you move is now your cage. You can't get out. They won't allow it because they can't move with you. And I think that sometimes that circle, our first circle where that can be the case, can be our family,
Mm.
immediate family.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they can't move with you. They can't see you in that way. It's like when the person grows up with a nickname,
Right.
you got a grown man still being called Boo Man.
Stop it.
Okay. And when you ask your family to call your name is Jeremy, like, right? And you say, okay, could you call me? Oh, you funny acting. Funny acting. I'm 50, y'all still calling me Boo Man. I work for corporate. Like, let's not. Right? And that's
you know what's even more amazing?
mm-hmm.
That is so funny. But what's even more amazing is that person, it's a lot of y'all out there too, right? That person still carries that Boo Man out like in his 60s and still and he's okay with that. And so when you meet a new grown mature person and you introduce yourself as Boo Man, like if you talking to me, I'm like, so did they name? I'm sorry. Did they name you that? Like when you was born? Is that your real name for real? I have been in situations like that when it wasn't Boo Man, but it was another name. Like, you get it. I'm like, so is that your real name? Like, you 65?
Right. Exactly.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But now, okay. So we're talking about community. So we're talking about the 65-year-old Boo Man that still identifies as Boo Man. Like, that's who he is. He a gangster. All right. That's who he identifies as.
All right,
so he's
gangster.
he's still in his circle. He's still moving in that space. Because guess what? As you speak of isolation, if he were to step out of that, do you think he was still feel connected?
Oh, that's so
Do
scary.
you think? But see, that's the spiritual element. That's what I do. I work on that, right? Because at what point was that gentleman? When did he start? When was he labeled that?
Yeah.
Right. When was he
Because
labeled?
there's a whole lot of other than the name. The name is so impactful. Like even in the Bible, like names were changed for a reason.
Right. Exactly.
You may
and
be
so
born as Abram, but your name ends up being Abraham. You may be born as Jacob, but your name ends up being Israel. There's a lot that goes with the name. So when you're carrying a name that has not been identified or connected to your destiny, like what are you trying to drag into your destiny that don't belong?
Or here's the best. It ain't what you call it is not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Because at some point somebody can call you something, but at another point you might realize that's not your name. Right?
Mm-hmm.
People called me Tam when I was younger because my family refused to say Tamiko. Like that shouldn't be my name. Well, I have family members that are from the South where teachers changed their name because they couldn't or wouldn't pronounce it. And then that just became the person's name and then their name changed. Okay. So it's not only what people call you, it's what you answer to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 61. I still have people that'll say, "Hey, Tam," and I'm like, "You don't really want to deal with her. That's not that's that 16 to 19-year-old me." Or basically up until like at 16, I realized like, oh, people are really not gonna call me by my real name, which is Tamiko. To this day.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that I was like, what? And she was like, well, I'ma just call you what I want to. Now that well, that was gonna go over like a fart in church. Like, come on.
Like,
Okay.
like a furniture. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have to politely let her know that no, you're not. And this is one of the reasons, let's start here, that I don't talk to you. Because, first of all, I've asked you. Second of all, let me explain the dynamic of how that works. Okay. When a person grows up with a name that is given to them, because of the fact that no one wants to call them by their real name, we can say the word is something like peanut or something like that. Okay. And then by the time you get grown, you don't look like a peanut, hopefully, or you're not that. And so when that person asks you, okay, because they might have grown up with a tough life, a tough childhood, right? And so
Yeah.
now they work their way into the adult that they feel and know that they are, and they want to, whether it's a birth name that they're going to, or if they change their name, but the name that they asked, okay, and if they ask you to call them that and you refuse, is disrespectful.
Yeah.
It's very disrespectful. It is like a person is isolating you to be in a space that they want you to be in based on how they know you or thought they knew you. And so this is what I explained when this person also claimed, well, I don't hear from you much, and you won't, because you still trying to speak to Tam.
Ooh, you still trying to speak to Tam.
You still trying to speak to Tam.
Tam is
So
not present. Tam has evolved.
allow me to introduce you to Tamiko. And one of the reasons we don't talk much, because when you talking to Tamiko, you don't have nothing to talk about. I ain't trying to talk about what happened in 1920 and 1978 when our parents was having
I
cookouts.
think that part is amazing how you have friends. You have friends, like you may not have seen them over the year, but they probably seen you like what, 20 years ago.
30.
And, it's one thing to catch up, to catch up from where you were, but to like ruminate over like what we did 20 years ago over and over, like
Well,
again,
Marnita, that happens because you in your case it would be catching up. In their case, they're still there. Okay. There are certain things.
so
You
as
see what I'm saying?
sure. So I'm sure it's a lot of people who experience
Mhm.
have that experience. So what would be a suggestion because I don't think you want to burn bridges, right? But what would be a suggestion to kind of like assist them in transitioning over to a conversation, one that's more relevant, two that's more inspiring, and three to begin a new level of connection?
Well, here's the thing, and thank you for that question. What we have to be able to understand is that connection is not connected. Why are you trying to reconnect something? If you're in a different space, it's okay to say that point and that time in our life has passed. That season is over. And it's okay. Like I said, with this particular person, I explained how if you want this to move forward, here's what has to happen. But I also have to be true to myself. In my heart of hearts, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in hearing about what happened. I'm not interested.
You
Like, give
lived
me,
it.
don't make me interested. There's only 24 hours in a day. I normally only sleep 4. And entertaining this is going to work for me. Why? That
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where we have to have some realness in who we are and what kind of connections and what kind of circles and what kind of relationships we want in life. You don't have to be around because somebody wants to talk to you because they knew you and they grew up with you and they knew you 30 years ago and we reconnected and you
Right.
trying to talk about what happened 30 years ago.
I think this is a real great conversation. You know why? Because based on our stats on YouTube, our audience is in between 55 and 65. So listen, when we're talking about 30 and 20 years ago, 20 and 30 years ago, it is so relevant because I look at the analytics, right? I love analytics.
That's what you do. You
Right,
have
that's what I do. And so when I looked at that analytically, the people who are hearing this conversation is between 55 and 64.
okay.
And 81% of them, I'm good with the stats, girl,
I see you.
are women.
Imagine
We have 19% men, you know, but 81% of the people who are listening to us, they're between age 55 and 64, and they're women. So this, I think this conversation, like it's gonna help somebody.
I hope so. I hope so.
Let me take my, it's gonna add value to a way that they can move and evolve in and out of connections.
Okay. I want to say this, and especially with those stats, Marnita, I definitely want to say this into the women that you just spoke about in that demographic, right? I would challenge each and every one of you to think about it like this. Would you want to be in a relationship with you as a friend, as a lover, or as a colleague?
That's a good question.
And because if that makes you cringe, or if that be like, well, all that, you got some work to do.
Interesting.
You got some work to do.
Do you think
But
people can really see themselves?
you can if you take the even here's the thing. Can you see yourself? We all can. The question is, can you look at yourself? Can you go in deep? Can you go into a centered space that is deep? I have so many professional colleagues out here, and these women are cold. I mean, cold in their business. I mean, they handling it. They CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and some other stuff. But on that professional level, they killing it. But on personal,
Yeah.
yikes. And it's those three questions will help to answer the first question, which was the isolation piece.
Yeah.
Because the spirit and the soul of who you are can be isolated in a way that you might not be able to see yourself.
Okay.
You might not be able to look at yourself.
Yeah.
You don't see yourself the way others see you, but you know how you perceive, or you know what you've created to make yourself feel seen in that way.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But that's a heavy armor to carry. Ask me how I know. Okay.
Well, you hear it.
Right. So we're blessed enough at points in times where, we got stuff like this where you can come on here and just, ham it up and have
Add
fun.
it up, right? Exactly.
And in all this fun and all this fullness and all this greatness and all of this talking and communicating and speaking, a gem might fall out.
Yeah, just might.
Did she just say, wait, what did she just say?
Right.
And if you listen to this, it may seem like, wow, they went all the way over here. But the beautiful thing about conversation, right, and open conversation, where we're not sitting up here scripted, because if we were, I would not be on this call. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, nothing we can do is scripted. Even our private calls are not scripted. Like,
it's not scripted.
And then we'll start off in one place and end up like way across the equator somewhere.
But we come back. You know what I'm saying?
We always come back.
It's just like, you own a Jeep. You didn't get that Jeep just to always be on the open road. Sometimes that Jeep is designed to go off road. Yeah. And sometimes this conversation may take us off road, but we can come back to center And when we do it live, the great thing about it is, hey, y'all could come on here and y'all can send a little chat. Cause let me tell you, Dr. Marnita, she cold with all of that. She can handle all that. She checking stats. She looking at the chat. She doing all of this. I'm looking at the screen. I got my little pencil because I'm not trying to pick it up. I'm picking it up. I'm taking some notes because
Right,
that
right,
you take
right.
notes because normally I wouldn't. But
Yeah,
anyway, so this is the fun and dialogue and how we can go here and the beauty in it because I've sat up and watched it and studied us, but the beauty and how we work is again, my co-host here, she's going to look at the facts, right? She's going to check those facts. She's going to look at them. She's going to get some comparison on some other authors that have touched on the subject matter that we talked about. I'm
yeah,
going to look at the spirit of it. I'm going to see how did it rest. I'm going to watch it with no volume and see what did our facial expressions look like. The people that know me, when I'm in something or something hit me a certain kind of way, it's all over my face. Trust me. Okay.
yeah,
But that also shows the dynamic and the difference in the style of how we both work and how we both coach,
yeah,
but getting to a center where there definitely can be some change and some opportunity for our listeners.
yeah,
Okay. Um, one of the big things I say to people all the time is the beauty in life and what I've learned about life is, you know, you can make more money. You can make money. If you're like me, you've had money, you've lost money, you've had money, right? Same thing with friends. You know, you have friends, you lose friends, friends are seasoned. But the one thing in my lifetime, in 61 years, that I have not figured out how to get back yet is my time. Okay. And so for me, time is the most precious thing on the planet.
yeah,
Time and peace of mind.
right.
Because with time allows me the space to be able to gain and reset peace of mind, which then puts me in a space where I can get quiet, get centered, and then come back out here and have fun with the general public. How about that?
I love I love that. So we've talked about isolation. So the next corner relationship that was in our prelude was a type of connection where you're in relationship with someone and whatever you do for them, it could be a professional, social, community relationship, but whatever you do is never good enough. And it's always expressed to you as like, nah, like in a way that makes you feel, and that's kind of subjective too, that makes you feel it's not good enough. And so that could be objective or subjective, right?
Correct.
Um, so let's talk about that for a minute. So we dealt with the isolation. Now we're in a I like to I don't like to call this corner, but I'm gonna call this corner like the people pleasing corner of
Okay, but
connection.
that pleasing corner, that goes back to the beginning. That comes back to self and how does one feel about self? Because people pleasers have to be careful because I don't have the I don't necessarily have the stats, but my sister Marnita will look it up for us next time. But usually people pleasers have to be careful because people pleasers are also going to attract narcissists.
You
Okay.
know what? Like, yeah, that's so true. And I'm gonna do a little deep dive on that one.
Okay.
But
You're because a narcissist will see your light. They will see that and in that people pleasing, okay, you have to be careful with that because from a spiritual perspective, that people pleasing is you don't feel confident enough about yourself, so you're looking for somebody else to validate you. You're still going for that outside validation. Look what I did for you. Isn't this great? No. See, and
yeah,
I'm that people please. I'm that person. I'm not a people pleaser, but I'm that person that if I care about you and I know that's what you're trying to do, but it ain't working for me, I'm gonna tell you in the most loving way. Because you have some people that everybody has a different way of showing their caring or their love language, right? So their
right.
love language might be to give gifts all the time. I'm a minimalist. Don't give me nothing else. I
Yeah.
don't want. And then people will say this thing like, we just had this conversation last night. Like, oh, well, it's the gift that counts. No, no, yeah, it's the gift that counts. Okay.
Right
So
down.
then if it's the gift that counts, and you know that I'm a minimalist, and you buying me a gift, and it's something big and bulky that's gonna be in the way, what were you thinking about?
That was for them.
That part.
Well, for
Very
me,
good. Very
for me,
good.
that's
Now,
obvious, right?
now, right. But you see it's obvious. But that's where I say I'm the assistant. I didn't lobby you something to take a look at you because now you want to feel a certain kind of way because you got me this big gift. That wasn't for me. That was for you. So then what I would say is, oh, thank you. And you keep it.
Yeah.
And every time you look at it, you be like, I bought this for Tamiko. Isn't it great? Yeah. As long as it ain't Miles, I'm good.
Okay, so that's good. So I think it's really important. I mean, you in whatever corner you're in,
Right, right.
But I think it's really important to be aware what corner you're in.
That's it. And to be able to have the healthy conversation. Like if somebody, I know when people do something out of love, I get it and I understand. So I'm not just going, I don't want that. And see, I used to be the queen. I kid you not, people that on here that know me, I was the queen of regifting before regifting was a thing.
Mm.
Okay.
Hmm.
To the point that I have done things like regifted the gift back to you the next year. And they be looking at it like, huh? I was like, that's the same thing I was thinking, but I thought you liked it. So you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But that person. And gifting is just one thing. The same thing with communication. Because the
Hmm.
people person, they also sometimes, excuse me, excuse me, they can be that person that people dump on because they're that listener. They're going to always be that person that people can call and just dump all their stuff on and talk and talk and talk and talk. Even when you call that person, you
Yeah.
call it because you have something to share or celebrate or just not. But they never get to have their say,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So it's not always a material gifting that the people person does. It's the people person that's always there at their own detriment, right?
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Again, it goes to Marnita. We when we start to do the work, right? When we start to want to heal, these are the different places that we look at because these having these type of tendencies is going to affect any part of our life that we're working in, whether it's, again, intimate personal relationship, business relationships, uh, 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 professional, outside of the work environment. It will affect all of those because we don't realize that where that innermost core of the spirit self and the soul self has disconnected to cause these forms of relation or reactions in these four different levels of relationship. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So let's see, we talked about corner one. We talked about corner two. Corner three is you have a relationship with something that's giving you an instant shot of something that's making you feel good for the time being, but it doesn't get to the root of the challenge that you're having in any particular area of your life. For example, like
Retail therapy.
retail therapy, going to get a, a, a new car. They call it, what do they call it? What do they call when you gotta get older and you go get a new car? Like,
Midlife crisis.
huh?
Midlife crisis.
Yeah, midlife. They call it a midlife crisis, right? But it's really not a midlife crisis. It's just like something that's going to make you feel good temporarily.
But you know,
but the
go ahead.
root of whatever that challenge is still there, that you are refusing to resolve.
Mm-hmm. Well, retail therapy is retail therapy. Whether you buying a $200,000 sports car, whether you buying uh, you know, $2,000 Ferragamos, it doesn't matter. Retail therapy is retail therapy. Because in that retail therapy category, you could also say retail therapy. You could also say sexual addictions. You could also say
Yeah, that part too. Yeah.
codependency conditions, because basically what you just said, if you repeat what you just said, what is causing you to go towards that, to feel something? And it goes back again. What is that relationship with self?
No.
Okay. It goes back to that every single time. It reverts you back to that. What is that missing thing? What is that missing link? What is that impulse that gets you to go out there and do it? Because a lot of times you do it in that moment. You do it because you can. And then people are like, well, no, you can't. Well, if you couldn't, then how did the sale go through? So in that moment, whether you look good on paper, whether you had a new credit card, whatever it was in that moment, whether if it's a hookup, hey, somebody was looking real sad, jazzy. Okay, hey, let's go. In that moment, okay, you could.
Yeah, that is so true.
Okay. Now, okay, because especially when it comes to retail or anything like that, the salesperson basically wants to make sure to make the sale.
Right.
Now, how you can afford it the next month, the next week, that
It's
ain't their,
irrelevant to them.
that's not their problem. But in that moment, that adrenaline of getting that what you wanted in that moment, right? That relationship in that moment that you had with yourself and whatever that tangible thing out here that you wanted to do, that you wanted it and that you got it.
It's a temporary escape, right? But
Exactly.
it's a
Or let's be
temporary though. It's temporary. And I think all of us have done it at some point.
But
But
let's look like this. Hold on. Let's not look at it as an escape, because we're talking about relationship. We're talking about connection. So let's stay where we at. There's
okay,
a temporary connection.
there's a temporary.
A temporary connection to a feeling, a void that felt empty. You buy a big you buy a big toy, you gonna be feeling like a big person for a few minutes.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
You see
That's
what
good.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's gonna hype you up.
Yeah.
Whether it's the retail therapy, let's go to even hooking up with a person. You see something you like, and this is male or female, and we'll have a conversation, and the conversation gonna go well. Everybody grown for the moment, and something happened, and it's like nice. Wow, I did that. Sometimes
Right.
women have evolved, because it used to be a time we were like, oh my God, I don't believe I did that. Now we were like, yeah, well, I don't know, maybe I do. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm grown.
Ah!
But anyway, it might take me a week or two, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, did I really do that?
Did
Right.
I really still call?
Right.
Okay, we keep it real. This is grown folks podcasting here. But I'm just saying, in that moment, okay, it is
Mhm.
something that gets filled in that moment. Okay, but it can be just like a drug. That first time you get high is like, wow. But then you go and chase that, trying to fill that void. That's why a pair of shoes can go to another pair of shoes and another pair of shoes, or the sports car. And now we got to have all of the wheels and the this and the that. With people, you'll have the men that have all the beautiful women around them. In some cases, in the female, they have all of the sharp dudes around them, the tea or whatever. But it again, it's to fulfill a void of trying to feel a connection. Go deeper. It's time to take that innermost loneliness, that innermost, what happened? When did that become empty?
Yeah, when did that become? Because usually it's something that happened years ago, many, many
Mhm.
years ago, that you have suppressed and carried, feeling responsible,
And
and it's weighing on you, and it is allowing you to relinquish your power, your true power in life. Um,
true. And the other thing is sometimes being a witness to. So the happening could be a witness. If you grew up in something different, dysfunction, whatever the case may be, the witness to it. You know what I'm saying? Um, there can be a lot of interesting change, traumatic change, especially in our younger, you use the word a lot, our younger programming or reprogramming, or when we disconnect from something. Trauma and drama causes us to freeze. And how long do you stay frozen? And when you come out of that, where are you? What brings you out and how and why? And my level of awareness in my practice is, how did that affect your spirit? How did that affect your soul?
yeah,
Where, another one that is a big buzzword now in the holistic world is what is it? The sympathetic nervous system, and how
yeah.
did that affect the sympathetic nervous system, and then where did that get caught in the okay, and where is the sympathetic nervous system? And every time you trigger that, like before it was the sympathetic nervous system and all of the energetic nervous systems and the spiritual nervous systems that host the sympathetic. Look, I get all tongue tied. The sympathetic nervous system. Then that's when I go into the spiritual realm of, okay, what about the energetic nervous system, which are the chakras? We talked about that in the first, or
Right.
we talked
It's
about it. Let's just, because we getting up here now. We got a couple
like
of these out.
like if you like go back and watch the other ones, you
Yeah,
know, like
and
we
so
have like real deep dives into that. Shoes
right,
like
and
chakras and
chakras.
like
We're gonna get
y'all know
real good.
y'all pronouncing it wrong. Chakra.
We don't chakras or whatever. Somebody course corrected me, like, whoop. I was like, okay, well, you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. We're gonna get real good out here. Well, like one day y'all gonna tune in, and Dr. Marnita gonna have a whiteboard up, and we gonna break it
Right,
down. We're gonna
exactly, right.
break it down like boom, boom, boom. But the one thing that I will say, because I know we're getting weak, whatever. But the one thing that I would like to share, um, and especially when it comes to relationships, this is really good. This is really good because relationship is huge for me. It's something that I don't take lightly. You
Mhm.
know, there's a couple of things I don't use just lightly. One is friend.
Yeah,
Some people use that. Hey, friend. Hi, friend.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
The other one is love. Okay.
Mm,
Those are two big words for me, and they're two important words to me. And so, one of the things that I'm excited about, like again, with this platform, is the opportunity for, number one, for people to have a space to come and just listen. And guess what? We putting in some time, and I know some people are like, "Well, it's hard to listen to." Yep. Then don't get back to it when you can.
right, exactly.
Okay. I mean, because it's just like with anything else, because what I look at is this: what value does it bring to you and when? Because we all know, I don't know anybody who hasn't done it. My 82-year-old mama does it, where you will get on a social media site and just stroll,
Right,
stroll,
bro,
stroll,
right.
stroll.
Yeah.
And we could sit up and watch, excuse me, we could sit up and watch wretchedness all night long.
Isn't that something?
Okay. But when,
Distraction.
yeah, but when something triggers you or something challenges you or you don't understand, and we have the group now, the membership group that you guys are dating. And so you have the opportunity, if something doesn't make sense or something, it incites you, it's something that drew you in, it's something that you're like, wow, oh, I would really like to take a deeper dive in that. Holler at us, you know what I'm saying? That opportunity is available to you. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest,
Post it
if
online or something.
I can't honestly say for how long, because I only commit for so long. So Marnita is in this to win it, and I am in here as her co-pilot to help her win it. But I know me, I'm going to be here until I'm not. Okay. So as long as you guys have this opportunity and this amazing opportunity, take advantage of it,
Yeah.
because oftentimes opportunities are available there for us and we don't know how to access them.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm gonna tell you, Marnita is cold at what she does. She's a performance coach. So she's gonna be in there helping you, okay, and assist. And I am a spiritual coach and mentor. I am going to assist you and fall back.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It
there's
that's
like we're almost an hour into this, but there's one last corner that we're gonna summate, which is corner 4, which is the corner I love. Now I love this corner because there's like three elements of this corner that I absolutely love. Like if I can, when I get connections, that are corner 4 relationships, which means I'm in a relationship that I care about and they care about me. They can be radically honest with me and I can be radically honest with them. And they engage me in problem solving and I engage them in problem solving also. Now,
mhm,
this is like my corner. Like this is it for me. Oftentimes I run into people who are in other corners. And what I do is I help to add value for a transformation for them. That's what I do. Achievement performance coach, right? I'm trying to get you like, let it not be mistaken on your side that I am not trying to get you into a corner for a relationship because I am. I need to be radically honest with you. I need to have like, you need to be open for me to be radically honest with you. You need to know that I care about you. And you need to know I am going to encourage you to solve your problem. I am going to encourage you to own your stuff. I am going to encourage you to recapture your power because you can do this. I cannot do it for you. And if I get any kind of indication that's going to allow me to have a revelation is that that's where you're not there yet, I'm okay with that too. It just means you're not ready now. I love corner for relationships. What do
mhm.
you think about them, Tamiko?
I like what you said about that. Because if I had to put it in a nutshell of what you just said, corner for relationships and what you just described means everybody has skin in the game.
Mhm.
Okay. And so for me, that's important on all levels. You have to bring something to the table. Okay. Um, corner for from what you just said, it's not shipwreck relationships. It's not shipwreck relationships. And I like that. And that brings a level of accountability. That to me brings a level um corner 4 also speaks to what we talked about in a previous segment is um, like with my consultations. My consultations are done to see if the individual that has reached out for possible working together, if we're evenly yoked. Are
Mhm.
you in? Are you certain things? There might not. Hey, elevation might be different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the beauty in a corner for dynamic.
Yeah.
Like there's elements that both people bring to the game, okay, or to the platform. How about that?
That's
Right?
good. Yeah.
And
Yes.
that is the element that I feel that y- when you get to a level where you're basing your day to day and 90%, I'm gonna put it as high as 90%. I like to achieve high. I'm not going for no B plus.
Let's
I
do
want
it.
or A plus. So when you're operating from that level of personal excellence for yourself, you're going to look for, I mean, you're going to draw in, and that's what's important. The most important is corner for relationships. But
Absolutely.
corner relationships also come with effective communication.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I read a lot.
No.
Girl.
What?
So in another book that I was reading, they were sharing that
What's the name of the book, Marnita? You gotta get the name of the book. What was the name of the
it's
book?
called Super Brain.
Okay. Y'all get that. Super brain? Okay.
It's called Super Brain. And they talk about babies. Babies have, goes back to what you said, inherent ability. We come here like this. And you keep talking about communication, like she done said this one too many times for me, so I have to share it. So babies come here with the inherent ability at its maximum potential to communicate, be balanced, and inspiration. That's how come they grow so quickly and they absorb so much. Communication, balance, and inspiration. But what happens to us over time is we lose a significant percentage of all of those.
Mhm.
We lose our ability to share our voice. And our voice is so powerful. And because our voice, what we have to say is important to somebody.
Mhm.
It's important, like y'all need to hear that one. It's
Mhm.
important to somebody. That's why you have it. And when he talked about balance, like we need to have balance so we can have the, like when you talk about spirit and soul, like all of that energy has to be balanced so we can elevate our performance. You can't be like in a constant state of imbalance. And you have to be inspired by
Mhm.
something. Like all those three things are necessary um in order for you to have profound impact and influence on the people that you connected with.
Okay, so that's good. What you just said. Now I'm gonna break this thing down. That's gonna lay everybody out, and I think this will be a good place for us to segment because you spoke of a baby, right? And you spoke of a baby having a voice, and you said that the three things. Can you give me those three things again, please, Dr. Marnita?
Communication, balance, and inspiration.
Okay, so a baby, what is their way of communicating as an infant?
They
Their
cry.
voice,
Their
that's
voice.
their voice. And usually they might start with, everybody think that's cute, right? Oh, look. When
But it gets
that
your
ba-
attention.
right? And they're gonna get a response. Okay.
Right.
When that baby starts screaming, somebody usually is gonna pick that child up.
Hmm.
They're gonna nurture that child. Okay. Mama tired, she probably like, I ain't got both breasts empty, bottle empty. I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. But grandma, daddy, somebody is going to pick that child up, usually. Okay. When they pretty babies, the child don't never get put down.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Somebody always picking the baby up. It's that first grand, somebody picking that baby up. And then when the baby realizes, like, wait, I'm not being held, and the baby goes down, they start, somebody give me.
Yeah.
This is learned. This is known. It's not learned. You know this at
When
this,
you
you
come
see
in,
with a newborn.
you said that at the beginning of this conversation.
But this is why we bringing it full circle. Just like we went off road, we coming back, right? Because in that, that is innately in them. And like you said, and the voice is how they can scream. Because the other thing, I know with my son, he was a screecher. So when he laughed, there wasn't a whole lot of difference in his laugh and his cry.
Yeah.
Other than his facial expression.
So
what you were just saying, that a baby will get the response because they are getting people to respond to them in a way that they want. That's a natural ability. That's not taught. Now, what happen is they're untaught. They learn after a few months, all that screaming and hollering is just gonna have you laying in a room by yourself, being what? Isolated. We just put full circle.
Right. So they make up these, that brings on a whole nother conversation that we don't have time to get into right now. But what I am going to say, it brings on a whole another conversation in regards to how we begin to make rules to fit into our environment. Subconsciously make rules, and you end up living by those rules, which are your beliefs, and you carry them through life.
Like the person that doesn't understand why they're afraid of the dark. There's so many. Like I could take this. We could go.
There's so much in that.
But I always like to. Well, I don't like to. This is what I do. I bring it to the spiritual element and where that can start for us, and to what level. And I like being able to bring it to a level to show what I mean by the disconnect starts early. Okay. Yeah. So once the disconnect starts, then the reprogramming can start. But we come in here so cold. We the coldest.
Yeah.
God don't make a whole lot of mistakes. Matter of fact, none were made. But we get a lot of choices from the moment we come into the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? There's a thing called crib death, meaning they don't know why the child passed, and I don't want to trigger anybody. But if we look at it from a spiritual component, it was that child's time. They came in for whatever reason. They made it 9 months inside of that mom, or 8 months, or whatever amount of time, but they actually were birthed into the world. But how long? I know I'm still a big child at heart at 61. Okay. But I'm still sometimes asking myself, so now why did I stay here?
Right.
But I can smile when I say it now. There was times when I would look like, what the WTF? I ain't gonna cuss, okay? Because I know social media don't like that, but y'all know I'm spicy.
Well, this has been amazing. This has been, I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as I have. But this has been an amazing debriefing of connections. And again, if y'all still dating us, I'm gonna need you to get into connection with us. We need a corner for a relationship. Like, y'all need to go to YouTube, subscribe, and share this with someone you think it may have value for, and click on that alarm bell so you can get notified when we upload these videos. But we want a corner for a relationship. We just don't want any relationship. And there's like 81% women out there between 54 and 64 who are dating us. 19% men.
Okay, wait. So there's 54 to 64% of them dating us. And these are women sometimes that are not married that are looking for dates. Damn.
Ah, she's funny. Yeah, so we need
That
to
explains things.
we need a corner for a relationship here. Like I'm just saying. So
Also with
like, subscribe, share, connect. Corner four. Corner four is in the house today. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have. Tamiko, do you have anything you want to share?
I just want to say happy birthday to me again. And I am so excited about this. I made the commitment, I stuck with it, loving the corner for connection. And I want to thank you, Marnita, for showing up and showing out. And hey, you guys support my sister. She's putting information in the group out there. Tag her up. I'm trying to do the same. I'm getting better, kind of. See, I have to tell myself that because I have to program myself to go on social media. How about that? And I just want to thank everybody for showing up, whether you're watching this live or whether you go in and watch it later on at sometimes. But what I would challenge you to do is go check them all out. We have some we'll be sending little blurs, little fun things, and have as much fun with it as we're having.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would say to you today, with us touching on the platform of communication, right, and connection. First and foremost, always remember it always starts with the connection that you have with yourself. Okay, so be excited about being with you, and other people will be too.
Love it.
That's all.
On that note, we will see you next week, and have a wonderful week, and go out there and connect, create, and contribute to somebody. I don't care who it is, but